I've been waiting to talk about Nicco Montaño for a very long time because, frankly, she just has been waited on more than any other fighter, I guess, for the diehards, because no one's really talking about her. But if you think about it, she's not only the inaugural, flyweight champion who beat Roxanne Modafferi off of that tough finale, but we saw her do so much early on in her career. But when we get to that Valentina Shevchenko fight with her being called, scared and all of those things, and then her getting stripped for the title. I mean, there's a lot of things just going wrong for her, right? I don't think she was personally scared. I really don't. I just think that she's a woman that has a lot going on. You talk about, the last real loss before that was against Julia Avila. And, the UFC actually has tried to schedule that fight over the last year or two 3 times. And all 3 times, whether it was COVID, pulling out, injury, never happened. She was even supposed to fight Carol Rosa earlier this year, but she had to pull out of that for not being medically cleared. So my big thing right now is we saw a fighter take the UFC by storm in an era where women's MMA was just getting started in the UFC. And then all of a sudden, when it kind of came to that climax of the Valentina Shevchenko fight, unfortunately, we kind of saw her fade into the background. But the Juliana Pena fight is the one we really want to talk about, because not only is it top level competition, someone who's going to be fighting someone like Amanda Nunes in the near future, but it also gives us a lot of areas where at the time Nicco Montaño was being, very much criticized for not having the game that's, deadly, for not having one that's very, I guess, aggressive, because that's what she kind of, going into the tough series, she was basically being called, the softer one and all that. And then she just beat everybody on the way to winning that title. So what could have been, there's a lot to be said for that, but we talk about the skills, man. I just think in that Pena fight, you saw that the striking is definitely getting better, but Juliana Pena brings good size and technique. I think for her, once she understands kind of the movement and how you work on the feet, she's really able to start to utilize, just the weight distribution, all of those things to kind of work in her own offense. And you kind of saw an incredibly good round by Nicco in that first, but then kind of faded and gave up a lot of good positions to Juliana Pena, which resulted in her losing that fight. Now we talk about a very similar experience for Wu Yanan. I mean, 1-3 UFC fighter. The only win that she has is against Lauren Mueller via armbar. But in that most recent fight against Jocelyn Edwards, I mean, Jocelyn Edwards was so confident in not being dominated on the ground by Wu Yanan that when Wu would go for a takedown, she would literally allow herself to get taken down and then just roll based on that weight distribution into a more offensive position for herself. That says a lot about Wu Yanan's ground game. You might have a raw style of taking people to the ground and finding those opportunities, but that's really what BJJ is all about, right? The rolling, the momentum, the weight distribution, like all of that wrestling in BJJ is what really makes up for the groundwork in MMA. And that's why I think Nicco Montaño is about to have her way with Wu Yanan. I'm not going to beat around the bush here. This is the same woman that was supposed to be fighting Valentina Shevchenko. And she makes her bantamweight debut after so many health issues against a Juliana Pena, who a few years later now is going to be fighting for the title. There's something to be said about that fighter, despite the time she's spending it at Syndicate MMA. So it's not like she's, having tequila on the beach or anything like that. And for her to be 1-3 with just that one submission win and the 3 decision losses, it really makes you think about where Yunanan's career is really going from here. And so we want to talk about the keys to victory. I think that the fight against Jocelyn Edwards just showed her a lot of what she shouldn't be doing. If you're not confident in getting those takedowns and being able to maintain that position, you need to be aware of who you're fighting. Jocelyn Edwards was able to exploit her there. And even though she got tired later in the fight and wasn't able to throw a lot of those technical strikes and was kind of on her back foot a bit, she won the fight fair and square. And that's where I think that Nicco's going to have to make sure that she doesn't allow herself to get to those positions for her kind of keys to victory here. Because for Nicco, we've just seen where she can excel. And it's going to be on the feet with a fighter like Wu Yanan, because I think that once she's able to find the areas to take this fight to the ground, it's going to be just so difficult for Wu Yanan to find her way back to the feet. She's got good striking and she's got amazing cardio. That's what she needs to use to her advantage. Avoid the ground altogether. And if Yanan can keep the fight standing, not make those decisions of taking the fight to the ground, she should have an opportunity to pull off an upset. And I say that because I just refuse to believe that Nicco Montaño is any kind of underdog in this fight. She has to be the most anticipated female fighter on the UFC roster right now, because people just want to know what the hell is going on with her. And, we hope to see her back in there just fighting and having fun. We think back, her connection to the native population and being able to rock that fight kick against Pena. There was a lot of great things happening for her before all of these cancellations and all these injury issues started coming along. So without further ado, let's take a look at the lines here. It's pretty clear what both ladies have to do to win this fight. And I just think that if Montaño is able to keep that distance and really find her opportunities to take this fight to the ground while doing some damage on the feet and tiring her out a bit, it's just going to be such a hard fight for her to lose. And without further ado, we're going to go right to the lines here. Oh, baby. Talk about a Super Saiyan potential. Nicco Montaño coming as a minus 190 opener. Some places have her that minus 220, minus 200 range, but Betway coming in at minus 188. Keep it locked. We might just go ahead and lock in that Super Saiyan pick real soon. I'll put that up on Instagram. Hopefully you guys can help me get to that 1,000 mark on YouTube so I can put it up on the communities tab. But till then, feel free to check the Instagram account for all those fun stuff. But I mean, with Wu Yanan open as a plus 155 and seeing as high as a plus 185 right now, very clear where this line is moving. I'm probably leaning to this one, or like I said, the Rafa Garcia is the Super Saiyan pick for the week. But outside of that, very fun fight. I think it has the opportunities to be technical, but it also has the opportunities to be an absolute brawl between two very game female fighters. So stay tuned for that. I think it's going to be fun.